How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
This half hour being brought to you by our good friends at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, waters, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And ready-to-drink cocktails. High Noon, Jack Daniels, Crown Royal. All at, and of course the pickle bar led by the Barrels and the Dills, indeed second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. We're now joined by the Shakespeare of On3.com, Nate Bauer.
Oh, wow. You outdo yourself every time. I love it.
It's really part of the skill of the job.
Flattery. I like it.
You earned it. You're good. Okay. There have been some limited opportunities to get in and see camp. Probably more opportunities than really most other reporters get at other camps across the country.
Yeah.
What have been a couple of general impressions you've had, and then matching up your impressions with what James or the coaches have said?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's broad, right? I think to me, the topic of conversation that I've been interested in all summer is the receivers. And, surprise, surprise, right? Yep. It's a group that visually looks different to me. And I would assume you feel the same. They are bigger. They appear to be more crisp. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's hard to put your finger on it other than the looks test, right? But by the looks test, yes, there are older guys who will pace the room for sure. But they've got some horses among the freshmen, the redshirt freshmen, just bigger guys that just kind of stand out. And so it's fine to see this stuff in preseason camp, and yes, it leaves an impression on you. It doesn't really answer the question that has needed to be answered for that group really all of last season and all of this season, which is, can they make tough catches with the game on the line? And that's what we're going to have to wait and see to find out.
Yeah, we won't know until they play, but right now it is a more professional presentation by the receivers than you've seen. In other words, how they do things and go about their work.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair.
Yeah. You also wrote about Daryus Dixon. It's one thing about Terry Smith. Terry Smith, there is no filter. He tells you exactly what he thinks and why he thinks it, and he doesn't hold that back about things, and that includes Daryus Dixon.
Yeah, he is among the better interviews that Penn State has on that coaching staff. And look, and it's not as though this is completely out of the blue. I think throughout the winter workouts and into spring practice, there were some rumblings that this kid belongs, right? Coming from Mater Dei High School, he's got that pedigree, but I'm not sure anyone expected him to assert himself to this level this quickly. And, I'm paraphrasing here. I don't have the quote in front of me, but Terry basically said, look, this is a really strong room with veteran players, and he has demonstrated that he belongs in every sense. And he will play this year. He's going to play special teams, right? Justin Lustig said that I don't want to say, again, paraphrasing, but he could probably start on 2 or 3 different special teams units. So all signs are kind of pointing in that direction that Dixon is in a very crowded room, so he's not going to start. But could he be a pretty key piece of the depth with Kenny Woosley? Yeah, absolutely.
No, go. The bottom line is, with today's nickel situation, so many teams playing nickel dime and so forth, you need a minimum of 10 defensive backs.
Yep.
Right? And you can go 4 safeties, 6 corners, 5 safeties, 5 corners because of the nickel situation. I mean, that's what you need today. And it sounds like they think he's one of those 10 guys.
Yep, I think absolutely. And honestly, this is kind of in combination with stuff that Jim Knowles has said, but just that cornerbacks room in general just appears to be so strong for this team this season. It is a key piece of what Jim Knowles likes to do anyway. It's that trust factor, right? If you think that you can rely on your corners to not get beat over their heads, you can do so many other things with your defense to win, right? And
right.
It's kind of the cornerstone. It's that keystone foundation of how he wants the defense to operate and how he can make the lives of offensive coordinators opposite him as miserable as possible.
How have you found the conversations with Jim Knowles to be?
Great. I don't know about you. I think that he has this the look of a grizzled mystery man, and I think that that's true to a certain extent. James Franklin has talked about he's kind of a man of few words. I have not really found that to be the case. I think that he's been honest and engaging. I had a great off-season interview with him over the summer, and then I was able to sit down with him for 5 or 6 minutes at preseason media day a couple of weekends ago. I have been nothing short of, it just didn't match my expectations. I was anticipating a tough interview where it would be difficult to kind of get answers out of him, not in the sense of like, is he, he's going to give up top secret information and I'm trying to do gotcha moments. It's not that at all. It's simply, hey, will he elaborate if you push him to? And yeah, the answer is yes, he will. I got a lot of good things to say about Jim Knowles.
And so do the players. I mean, I know you've talked to the players about Jim. I mean, you want to talk about buying into a guy. They bought into him.
Yeah, no, totally. And look, when you win a national championship the year prior, it'll do that, right? That kind of snaps your head at attention real quick. And I think that there are some differences. There's some stuff that he's going to do that's not going to be the same as Tom Allen. Personality-wise, there's some big differences that I think are very well received, right, for Penn State and the players. It's a culture change a little bit, but I think it's one that Penn State's defensive players have very much gravitated toward. They look, there's a gravitas to having that on your resume that you just won a national championship last season with the best defense in the country, with the number 1 ranked defense. Mm-hmm. And so for a Penn State group that was top 10 already and lost Abdul Carter, right? You lose Kobe King, you lose Jalen Reed, you lose KJ Winston. Obviously, he wasn't as big a part of the conversation by the time the season got going and he got hurt. But there is a mentality of, hey, this does not have to be a rebuild for a defense that was already really good last season, despite some of the losses in personnel.
How important is it to you that there appears to be a collaborative effect between Jim and Andy Kotelnicki?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's very important. I think that some of the stuff, I don't know if you watched, I'm sure you did, the BTN, their campus tour last week stopped in Penn State. The conversation, less with Kotelnicki, but the one with Drew Aller, I thought was very enlightening about what the feedback that Drew got from Kotelnicki, and not just Kotelnicki, but the analysts that came with him, to understand what his strengths are, yes, and the things that they were worried about defensively for Ohio State last season, but also the things that they knew he wouldn't do. And the next question to him was, okay, what are some of the areas, right? What are the things that you feel like you need to be better at in those situations? And he immediately pointed out his willingness to take shots, to go down the field with the ball. And yes, part of that was a symptom of, he didn't say it, but I'll say it, not a great chemistry with his wideouts, not a trust factor with his wideouts, and one that I'll say was probably not earned. Right? They didn't deserve that trust. You saw that in those elements or in those situations where they came up short on his behalf, and he kind of got pegged as the guy who made the mistakes. But talking about that and understanding from Knowles' perspective, hey, these are things that when you don't have to worry about it as a defense, it changes things, right? It allowed Penn State, it allowed Ohio State to completely shut down Penn State's run. If you look back last season, it's wild to me. I just had a very long conversation in our message boards at Blue White Illustrated over the weekend about Trey Wallace. And, he's become a little bit of a boogeyman in that game specifically. What people aren't acknowledging is nobody played well in that game for Penn State. Nick Singleton had, I don't know, Steve, 18 yards, right? Right. Katron Allen did not play well in that game. Katron was a little dinged up in that game. Tyler Warren was okay, but they mostly shut him down. Drew didn't play that well. And Andy Kotelnicki did not call his best game in that circumstance. So there is a wide range of not just responsibility, but growth opportunity that I think Penn State has really leaned into to understand from Jim Knowles' perspective. Hey, Ohio State had good players. No argument there. But in that matchup, there were things that Penn State did and didn't do that can change this season now that they have a little bit better understanding of how they got scouted. Yet,
on the day where the offense, as you mentioned, had a bunch of guys struggling, they were 6 yards away from winning it down the 3-yard line twice. And even though I know that essentially you need a core group of 50 players to get this done because it's a long season, the bottom line is you're still going to need your stars to be the stars in the games that you're talking about. And that's what you need. You need your stars to be – they're stars for a reason. That means in the biggest moments they've got to show up.
And I'll go so far as to say that includes Kotelnicki, right? He is a star. He is a star in the coaching profession. They scored 6 points offensively in that game, right? Because the other 7 was a pick six. So they stalled out offensively twice from the 4-yard line, right? They didn't get any points off of those. And they had 2 other great scoring opportunities that ended in field goals. So, and again, I'll even take it to the Notre Dame game, right? The misconnection, not just the misconnection between Singleton and Drew Allard, but just to have the ball, to have those possessions in those situations, you have to capitalize. That's all there is to it. There's no sugarcoating it. They know that, right? And to have had some of those experiences now in their back pocket, I think it will be very interesting, to say the least, to see how they respond in some of those moments this coming season. Because the reality is, they stepped up in other games in ways that aren't being acknowledged. Fourth downs at Southern Cal, Minnesota, the 6-minute holding the ball at the end of the game to run out the clock. Wisconsin, right? Things that they were under the gun offensively and got it done. They just weren't able to do it in those two games, and that's kind of how everybody's going to remember last season.
Right. What do you think are the important points that have to happen between now and about 7 or 8 days from now, when camp is officially over and transitions into a game week thought, with extra game practices?
Yeah, I think there are some position battles to be resolved that I think will be resolved, even if they're not acknowledged as being resolved. Just kind of some clarity there. I know there are some guys that are still bouncing back from injury and working through some stuff. So that continuation of that process. The offensive line is interesting to me. Again, that BTN clip showed it. They've done some tinkering there, right? At least an experiment. Yeah. To in terms of the guys that they've got. And what sides they're on and what positions they're playing. I mean, there's a lot of intentionality to the flexibility that they have on the offensive line. I still think that when push comes to shove, they're going to throw out the line that everybody expects them to throw out, right? Ruggier at right tackle, Donka at right guard, Dawkins at center, obviously. So I do think that there are still a few things that need to be resolved over the next week or so before they do get into that game week. But I think vibes wise, and I would guess that you would agree with this. I think vibes wise, this is a pretty confident team and a pretty confident program that feels pretty good about where they're at right now. And one addendum to that, I think they're also being very, very cautious and very intentional about rep counts and how they're spending this camp. Right, they've got a lot of guys that they know they can't afford to lose, and there is no risk of that. Based on the situations that they're putting them into in preseason camp.
But there's also the realistically, they've got guys that are getting maybe those rep counts because they've played so many games, they know what they're doing.
Totally. And honestly, there's more to learn about the guys behind them that do need to be resolved, right? You gotta have trust in your third running back. You don't need to know it. There's nothing to learn this preseason about Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. There is a ton to learn about who they're going to put the ball in that guy's hands after those two. And so I do think that there's a lot of value based on the situation that they have, that they already the quantities that they know already, and then the guys that they need to learn more from.
Exactly. I mean, and that's where you are. Look, you pretty much have a pretty good feel as to who the top guys are. You have a pretty good feel who the next ones might be, but it doesn't mean that there's still not people vying to be in there and somebody could fall out of it. So that's where you are right now. Hey, Nate. Appreciate it as always. It's not easy living up to the reputation of Shakespeare, yet you fulfill it.
Yeah, I'm just doing my best over here, Steve. But for covering Penn State football, I'll take it.
The Shakespeare of On3.com. Dave Bauer, sir, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Nate Bauer on 3.com. Half hour being brought to you by Brewers Outlet. Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And ready-to-drink cocktails. High Noon, Jack Daniels, Crown Royal. Pickle Bar, led by my 2 personal favorites, the Barrels and the Dills, are indeed second to none. It's all at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Back with more in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is, because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
What's better than 0% financing on a new car? 0% plus additional discounts on a new car from Sunbury Motors Hyundai. Be a hero with zero. There's 0% APR financing for up to 60 months plus an additional $2,250 SMC discount on 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe SELs. There's also 0% APR financing for up to 60 months plus an additional $2,500 SMC discount on 2025 Hyundai Palisade Calligraphies. Sunbury Motors Hyundai has 3.99% APR financing for 72 months, plus an additional $1,500 SMC discount on 2025 Hyundai Tucsons. Remember, all new Hyundais come with Hyundai Assurance and are backed by America's best warranty. 10 years, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. What's better than 0% financing? 0 plus SMC discounts. Save thousands now, only at Sunbury Motors Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury.